Assalamu alaikum guys, this is just a really quick video just to vent my frustration at this ridiculous new Hajj system that's been introduced for Muslim pilgrims around the world this year. I believe mostly from the UK, Canada, USA and Australia. And my family have been planning on going for Hajj, this sacred pilgrimage that is obligatory for us all to do at least once in our lifetime. We've been planning for this for months, and that means taking off specific days off work, planning things around the family, making sure that everything's taken care of, the house is taken care of. Just this month, about 3 weeks before the departure date, the Saudi government announced that, let's change everything up. Let's now introduce this new system, this one centralized system, through a company called Motawif. And I don't know why they did it. It's still not clear to me why. For whatever reason, they decided that they're going to centralize it, but only specifically for people that are applying from those countries I mentioned earlier. The thing is, this was done literally 2 to 3 weeks before departure date. It's not enough time for it to be done properly, given to one company, Motawif, and it's been an absolute shambles. I'd never heard of this Motawif company before, and then as soon as they got involved in this, rumors started circulating online about how they have ties to the Islamophobic Indian government. They're going to be storing our data against our will, against our consent and things like that. And I don't know, what part, if any of that's true, but things were not sounding good. What I do know is that their application system has been an absolute joke. The form, it can't be filled out by our elders of the community. People over 65 were suddenly disbarred from going anyway, but then even, aunties and uncles that are over 40, over 50, some of them are not that good with technology, and then Motawif and the Saudi government were suddenly expecting them to be able to use a computer and be really proficient in it. But forget that, as you would expect with only 2 to 3 weeks to go, their application portal was just so inefficient. They didn't reply, their emails, you just couldn't get through on the phone. There was a time right at the start when they would reply to phone calls. As soon as people started phoning up more and more to try and ask why their applications weren't going through, the phone lines were suddenly dead, and you just couldn't get through. You just could not speak to someone about your application. Their email system wasn't much better. You get a reply maybe every few days, and that's if you were lucky. No responses to queries. Your application status would change from day to day. You'd get some kind of amendment message. No idea as to what that meant. No explanation on their website. For us specifically, the COVID vaccination certificates were a huge hassle. They kept on insisting on having the first vaccine certificate, which many of us don't have. Even when we managed to get past that, they would change their requirements. Suddenly they would ask for both. Actually, at first they asked for your middle name on the form, and then they amended that and said, actually, no, take it away or then add it on. Sometimes it was the opposite for people. There was no consistency in what they actually wanted on their form. It seemed like every time it got reviewed by a different reviewer, and then, their requirements would just change depending on their preference, really. One of the reasons that I've seen for why Motawif and Saudi did this is to try and regulate prices. Apparently, the independent tour operators were taking advantage of people at times. If anything, I don't know if that was true or not, but Motawif's prices in itself are taking advantage of people. Firstly, it was about roughly £8,000, and then as time went on, as our applications went through more amendments, the prices just kept on jumping. £9,000 a person, £10,000 a person. I think now it's 11k per person, and it's much more expensive than what previous independent tour operators were offering in the first place. The argument that they're saving us money somehow by using this system is completely false. Again, I'll highlight that their system and their infrastructure is just an absolute farce. You just can't get through to anyone to support you with your queries. Phone lines are always busy. Email system was a joke. Occasionally they would reply to you on Twitter and Facebook. Apparently somehow that was the kind of most reliable method of communication. Why is that the case? Or if you're actually one of the few people that does manage to get through, how do you trust that Motawif and Saudi are going to organize some kind of support, some kind of local guide for you there? With this new system, there's just no trust that that's going to happen. You're just expected to show up in Mecca, in Saudi Arabia, and just wander around like a headless chicken, trusting that the Saudi government is going to take care of you. This whole thing has shown that we cannot trust them. They tried to take the work of thousands of independent Hajj guide operators and just cram it all into one system, one Motawif thing that they would expect would magically work. 2-3 weeks notice, shambles of an organization, completely inefficient application portal, no communication from the team. As a result, now most of us in the UK, and I imagine Canada, USA and Australia and parts of Europe, are now missing out on going on Hajj, one of the most sacred journeys of our lifetimes. Meanwhile, the people that have managed to get through are now guinea pigs for this new system. It's a disgrace. I'm absolutely sickened, and I hope, inshallah, that it changes next year, or at least becomes more efficient, or at least that we get more notice, because this year was an absolute shambles.